Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she's the worst thing to ever happen to me and I hate her even if she's changed/gotten help? I, 31 female, don't like my sister Kate, 37 female. She treated me like crap as kids and it got worse as we got into middle/high school. Around that time, she started drinking/doing Ds. And when she was 17, she ran off to live with her party friends. From then to 22, she only called to ask for money. At 22 she fell off the earth and we didn't hear from her, until at 25 she came home sobbing, looking strung out. She begged for forgiveness and swore to get clean. We felt bad and took her in. For a year she was better. She got a job and was going to the methadone clinic. One day, Mom and I were visiting a family friend 8 hours away, and when we got home, Kate and all her stuff plus anything of value that wasn't nailed down was gone. My laptop, our jewelry, DVDs, DVD players, etc. An hour later Grandpa called and said his water was shut off. We went to check it out and found the cover by the street side water valve open and the meter inside shut off. Luckily, we checked inside before turning it back on because all the copper pipes had been stolen. It was obvious Kate robbed us all and skipped town. We called the cops to report it, but c'est la vie. A year later, our grandpa died, leaving his things to Mom. He also left me some money. Sadly, Mom was a wreck the next 4 years before she passed of a heart attack. She left everything but $150, which she left to Kate, to me. I was destroyed after. If it weren't for my friends, I don't know what would have happened to me. During all this, Kate only called twice. Once a week after Mom died to see if she was left anything. I'll admit I screamed at her, and once a year later to ask for money. I hung up on her. She recently DM'd me, and apologized for how she'd acted before/after Mom passed. Then she told me she hit rock bottom after our last call, and OD'd and died for 3 minutes before being revived. She said it motivated her to get clean and stay clean in the years since. She wrote how she wanted to make things right between us, and she didn't want to lose her last family member. I understand addiction is terrible, and just because you're an addict it doesn't make you evil/bad, and they deserve second chances too. But that being said, I hate Kate. I can't recall a single good memory with her. They're all bad. This is where I might be the a-hole. I wrote her back and told her so. I said I'd sent her the money Mom left her, but I wanted her out of my life. And as far as I was concerned, I was an only child with no remaining blood family, and that she was honestly the worst thing to ever happen to me, and I wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. I just said everything I'd bottled up for years. My friends said I was too harsh and could regret not trying to make amends. I could be wrong. Maybe my anger and grief are clouding my judgment. I know people change, and maybe I should be giving her another chance. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's great that Kate seems to be turning her life around. That doesn't mean you are obligated to forgive her or let her back into your life. I suggest you learn how to let go of your anger towards her for your own sake, but you don't owe her anything. Not to mention for a full year she earned their trust, and then broke it after robbing their house, so although she may be turning her life around, she is not trustworthy. Not the a-hole OP. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Not the a-hole OP. Your sister behaved awfully, and just because she's clean now, it doesn't mean she won't revert to kind. When my severely mentally ill mother tried telling me her mental illness absolved her of all her wrongdoing since she has meds now, I told her, just because you didn't have control over your actions, doesn't mean they didn't have real effects on other people. I stand by that now as well. I go with not the a-hole, but I also think this is above Reddit's pay grade. You should maybe talk to a professional, because dealing with addiction in a family leaves a lot of scars. Some easier to see than others. Yeah, I've been thinking about trying therapy for a while. Then life got in the way and I'd never gotten around to it. But I think I should book an appointment in the future. Hold up. So, your sister treated you terribly for your entire childhood, got addicted, and seemed to suddenly be changed, only to steal all your family's valuables soon after? No, she doesn't deserve any courtesy from you whatsoever. Not the a-hole. If she wants to change, you can choose if you wanted to let her back into your life somewhat, although that would be your choice to make, and I wouldn't judge you either way. Given the proximity and time between her change and the robbery, I do wonder if that was her plan in the first place. It sure looks like it in hindsight. I initially thought she was acting sort odd maybe a month before she disappeared, but I just chalked it up to her being tired from work or something. I've been so proud of her for being clean for a year. Then she robbed us and vanished. Some of my friends say to hell with her, while a couple say I'll regret not building the bridge back. I'm honestly leaning more towards to hell with her. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my sisters get power of attorney over our dad in case something happens? I, 30 male, I'm coming to Reddit because I honestly need help to see if what I'm doing very wrong and need a stranger's perspective of the situation in order to get validation or advice. I have 2 sisters, 32 female and 28 female, and our parents, 57 male and 56 female, had been divorced for 5 years. My dad divorced mom because he found out that during their engagement, she slept with another man. My mom swears that while she cheated before they were married, that she's been faithful during the marriage, and that it was a long time ago. To my dad, however, this was all new information and he felt as if his right to choose was taken away, and that he no longer trusted my mom. While I love my mom, I understood why my dad was divorcing her and didn't hesitate when he asked for a DNA test. My sisters were hurt that he would ask and initially refused, until they found out that I was doing it. They tried to pressure me to change my mind, but I was completely on my dad's side and also wanted to know myself for health reasons. When all 3 tests came back that we were all his bio children, my mom and sisters tried to use this as a way to convince dad to stay, reiterating that it was a long time ago. They even resorted to trying to emotionally manipulate my dad, which he took pretty badly and cut contact with my sisters until the divorce was finalized. My uncle, his best friend, and I, were the only ones completely on his side during the divorce, and because of that, my relationship with him got a lot stronger. Eventually, my dad and sisters were able to re-establish some type of relationship, but there was this difference that you could feel. My dad stopped sharing deeply personal information with them, and last year my dad asked me if I was willing to be his power of attorney and emergency contact in case he was unable to make decisions for himself. I agreed. Now my sisters have found out and are upset that they are not listed as a potential POA or EC, and anyway. In terms of inheritance, we're still to split things evenly, but they don't like the fact that they don't get to make any decisions or wouldn't be directly contacted by his job or the hospital. They confronted my dad about this and he tried to brush them off, but in the end, he admitted that he just trusted me more because I was the only child that he felt was truly on his side. My sisters are hurt and saying that he's being sexist. They want me to convince dad to put them on, but I am refusing, and now that are calling me the a-hole, but I don't see it that way. Am I? Added to add, in order to keep myself to writing the same thing over and over, I'm just gonna say this. 1. I am the sole POA for everything for my dad, but if anything were to happen to me there is a line of succession, me, my uncle, dad's younger brother, my uncle's sons, older first and then the younger, and then my dad's goddaughter. 2. Who said anything about my dad abandoning us if we weren't biologically his? My dad just didn't want to live with the doubt. It's one of the reasons why he divorced my mom, and I agreed to it. Because I didn't want to end up having intimacy with someone who I didn't know was my secret half-sibling at the time. 3. Again, my mom says she never cheated again. And while my sisters and I believe it, that wasn't good enough for dad, which is reasonable. She also didn't do herself any favors by using the "it was a long time ago" line. Not the a-hole. No one should be convincing your dad of anything, it's his choice alone and he chose you. Not the a-hole. You backed him up and stayed in contact, why should he choose them? Don't you love how they tried to play the sexism card? Literally grasping at straws here to try and guilt trip the brother. Not the a-hole. If your dad is of sound mind, it's his choice who he wants as his POA. He wants to know that you have his best interests at heart in making decisions that will affect his life. The fact that you stood by him and your sisters didn't, showed him who he felt he could trust in these matters. How your sisters feel about it doesn't matter, it's how your dad feels about it. Not the a-hole. Your dad is making sound decisions while he still can. Your sisters need to educate themselves on what exactly a POA. It has nothing to do with inheritance and everything to do with making decisions on your dad's behalf should he become incapacitated. There are a ton of resources available online. Please send them some links. I'm sorry they feel hurt by being left out on any potential decisions, but they put themselves in that position by choosing sides during the divorce. Best wishes, OP. It was explained in full detail that POA is different from inheritance. That's how I found out everything would be split up equally. My sister are just upset that they can't make any decisions and think it's sexist because in order the people my dad have listed as his POAs are 1. Me. 2. His brother, the same uncle who was on my dad's side. 3. His brother's 2 sons / my cousins, oldest first and then the youngest 4. His goddaughter, my dad's best friend's daughter. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my stepsister I don't want her mom to be my mom? I, 16 female, have a stepsister who is also 16 female. My dad married her mom when we were 10. She lost her dad when she was a baby. I lost my mom 13 months before my dad got remarried. So while she was excited to finally have a dad figure, and she called him dad so damn fast, before they were even married, which was crazy to me, but I also kind of get, I had no interest in making her mom my mom. Still don't. To me she will never be mom. Stepmom is fine. But to my stepsister, this shattered the nuclear family ideal, and my dad and her mom do not see an issue with that. They have never ever had an issue with her pressuring me to call her mom mom. They actually think it would be a good thing if I started calling her that and we became just a family instead of a step-family. Her bugging me about it has become the sole reason I honestly hate spending any time with her. She's like a damn 5-year-old when she brings it up. She acts like she's years younger than me when she's not. And you know the way kids will pester you about stuff? That's her with this, for damn sure. And she talks about how she wants a family and how she deserves a regular family, and she hates how I remind her that we're not. So, she was sick with the flu recently and I was doing remote learning, and she used being sick as an excuse to basically bring it up constantly all that day. She said I couldn't say no since she was sick, and to call her mom my mom and how she's basically my mom now anyway. My dad told me to leave her alone since she was sick. But after a while I lost it. I told her she was so annoying and that I did not care what she wanted, because I did not want her mom to be my mom. And I would never want her mom to be my mom. And her feelings didn't get to decide how I feel. I told her she needed to grow up and stop acting like people owe her something. She got really upset, cried and everything, and then I was grounded for 2 weeks for making her cry and being rude to her. I fought it because I think what she's been doing for the last 6 years is pretty damn rude, but that did not fly with them. So what do you guys think? Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The stepsister was way over the line, and your dad is a major a-hole for not supporting you. I'm really sorry you are in this position, OP. Unsurprising, given that he got married barely a year after his late wife passed. It seems to be a trend of widowed guys marrying quickly, then being shocked when their kids don't call the new woman mom. Her feelings didn't get to decide how I feel. Preach. Crochet it on a blanket and give it to all of them for Christmas. All of this is toxic as hell. Her obsession is not healthy, and rather than trying to mitigate it, for both of your sakes, the adults in this situation are making it worse. Honestly, I'd wager that your dad and stepmom put her up to this years ago. Made a super big deal of you all becoming a family and encouraged her to encourage you to get with their program. And she's just been doing what she was coached to do. It is sickening. Do you have other adults in your life that you can talk to about this? Because it isn't right. I have talked to some family about it, but my dad has limited my access to the adults who listen, my mom's family and my grandpa from him, because my mom's family did not include my stepsister in everything for me, and my grandpa spoke up about him getting married so fast and how much I was struggling with it at the time. Okay, well that is the biggest reddest flag a father could fly. You need to contact them independently of him. You're 16 and have an internet connection, you can figure this out, and get them more involved. Cutting you off from people who would advocate for you, is troubling as hell. I mean, that's how I keep in touch with him, but there is really nothing they can do. He doesn't want to listen to them. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole when my siblings and I continued a Thanksgiving tradition our older half-brother wasn't a part of? My older brother was born when our dad was married to his first wife. She moved into a different state before my siblings and I were born. Due to how my dad's divorce agreement was, my brother spent every Thanksgiving with his mother and every Christmas with us. His mother is Jewish. Our brother very clearly resented us and wasn't very nice to my siblings and I, but our parents put us in family counseling, without our brother, and we grew up sort of understanding his resentment and generally stayed away. Starting 7 years ago, my siblings had a pretty stupid tradition of dressing up like our dad for Thanksgiving. We find out what he's wearing that morning and try to wear outfits that match it as closely as possible. It's dumb but fun, and we love doing it. We did the same this year. But what we didn't know was that our brother planned a surprise visit for Thanksgiving. So ignoring the fact that there is a pandemic, and that traveling between states and from college no less is a bad idea, our brother was welcomed happily. But he got pissed in like 5 minutes of getting here, because he just heard about this tradition and said it was an attempt to exclude him. He demanded that all of us change since he didn't have the clothes to participate. This pushed my sister over the edge and it became one big argument involving all the siblings. Harsh things were said. We told him how he was incredibly horrible towards us. And we refused to change. In the end, he made my dad drive him back to college in a nearly 5-hour drive one way on Thanksgiving. We ate an awkward dinner without our dad, while still dressed like him. My dad is now dealing with a lot of stress because my brother is blaming all of this on him. He makes my dad drive down just to see him and no longer wants to come to our house. I feel guilty that my dad ended up getting punished. Am I, or are we the a-holes? Not the a-hole, you didn't know your half-brother would turn up. You are not psychic, so could not give him a heads up. I can see him feeling left out, but his reaction was wrong. Although if it was that important for him to be included, he could have even borrowed some of your dad's clothes instead of ruining your dad's, and your Thanksgiving. Carry on with your fun traditions, do what makes you happy. Sadly at this point, the tradition might be done. It's not going to be some stupid funny thing anymore. We did try to find some clothes for him but we couldn't find anything. Start dressing like your mom then. Keep it going. Don't let sour grapes ruin a fun tradition. Not the a-hole for the initial dressing as your dad because it's a tradition. You couldn't warn him if you didn't know he was coming, but info, what harsh things did you say to him? Basically, how he's always treated us like crap and that the world doesn't revolve around him. I personally called him selfish and a child. That actually doesn't sound very harsh considering how selfish and childish he was acting. And that sounds like a very fun tradition you guys have. Not the a-hole. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.